Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, Karrion Kross comes back to the WWE. We'll talk about Ric Flair's last match, and is AEW in trouble? I think they might be in trouble. Watching this match, what is this? What am I watching here, Johnny North? I'm watching AEW Rampage. Jon Moxley is wrestling a man. I'm not sure who the man is.
Warner.
Man Warner?
Mance Warner. Mance Warner. He wrestled actually here in Montreal for MEW.
Okay. Cool. Have I seen him wrestle? Was I there?
I don't know if you were at that show. Because
okay.
I think this was pre-pandemic, so it's been a while.
I don't recognize him. What do you think of this match? It seems kind of
it's all over the place.
Yeah, not it's like one of those Moxley CZW matches that he does, right? It's like hey, let's do like a bunch of stuff on the outside and kind of brawl. People like it, people like deathmatch wrestling, people like that stuff. I don't know. I just don't know who this guy is, so it's hard for me to care. I'm not really sure who he is. I know he won a bunkhouse brawl on the Ric Flair show, right, and apparently that gets him a shot at the champ, and if he beats the champ, he gets a title shot, which seems absurd. He doesn't wrestle for AEW. He wins a bunkhouse battle royal with a bunch of other non-AEW talents in it at a spot show for Ric Flair's last match, which was not great. And because he wins that match, he gets to wrestle Jon Moxley. And if he wins this match against Jon Moxley somehow, which could happen, wrestling is crazy, then he gets a title shot at the AEW Championship. Like, it just doesn't... It doesn't make a lot of sense in a sporting world type of way. It's weird. It's indie. And it's like low... It's low end of pro wrestling. It's kind of like, who is this guy getting a shot at your champion? I know he's just the interim champion, but like, who is this guy? I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. I'm not saying anything bad about him. But I watch AEW Dynamite every week, and I don't know who he is. Because he's never been on AEW Dynamite. And now he's wrestling the world champion on their Rampage show. And if he wins, he gets a title shot. That, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's why Triple H is going to win this booking war, goddammit. I think he is. I think Tony Khan's in trouble now. Before, he was like going up against a guy who was spending his time doing sex assaults and paying people off because of those sex assaults, and he was nearly 80 years old, and he was kind of not sure who was on his roster or what match he did last week with who. But now he's got Triple H, who's, the King of Kings, and not only that, the Cerebral Assassin. So, I've never heard any nicknames for Tony Khan. Not one. Does anybody call him the Game or the Cerebral Assassin? I mean, if you're just looking at it on paper, the Cerebral Assassin versus Tony Khan, you got to go with the Cerebral Assassin. Also, he's got a lot of experience in pro wrestling, which helps, and more money, a deeper roster. It's just like a guy who seems aware of his surroundings running the WWE instead of, Vince McMahon. It could be anybody. It could be me. It could be you, Johnny. It's Triple H. It's probably better that it's Triple H than me, because I'd be doing some ridiculous gimmicks. Although maybe it would be good. I don't think it would be good for WWE. But I think that, Triple H is doing well. so far. And I'm looking at AEW every week, and I get more and more disenfranchised with the whole operation. I was very high on AEW when it started, and as this company goes on and on, I start to wonder, what the hell is this? It feels more and more like Impact Wrestling. You have Jon Moxley having a knockdown, drag-out, brawl. Everybody's bleeding with a guy I've never seen on their TV before. Like, and they probably won't sign this guy, right? Like, this is a one-shot deal.
I mean, it's tough to say because he's a bit of a name on the independent scene. Like for a lot of people, this is somewhat of a dream match. So I think that's kind of the reason why they booked this.
But for who? For like 100,000 people out there that are like super hardcore wrestling fans and know everybody and are super into it because they have no life other than this stuff. Some of us have actual lives, you know, with people and stuff. We can't just watch wrestling 24/7. I can watch a lot of wrestling, but 24/7, like, come on, baby. Give me a break. Am I supposed to know who Mance Warner is? Is this supposed to be a dream match for me? Is it for you? You've shared a locker room with this guy. You know him to a degree, right? Or were you not on that show? I don't even know.
No, I was there. I met him.
Okay.
You know, I think he's a great talent. Like I think this is awesome. He's getting the shot, but you know, I'm a bit biased because I saw him, so met him, so I want him to do well because I think he should be in this spot. Like to me, this makes sense. Like he's that good, he should be there because I know his level of ability. He should be facing the champion right away. I think he's that good. But yeah, you don't know him, so I understand your view as well. And it's over. Moxley won with the bulldog choke.
Yeah. Well, standing, it was more of a rear naked choke.
Standing. But look, he was dragging a bit, though.
Yeah, bulldog choke would be more on the side. You can't really do a bulldog choke from standing, but nevertheless,
it's a lot of blood. Like I think Moxley's bleeding the back of the head.
Yeah.
And the face.
This is the guy who supposedly has a shot at beating CM Punk when Punk returns. He's wrestling Chris Jericho on Wednesday, and it'll be the same level of difficulty for him, which doesn't make sense in a logical booking way. It makes sense if you're an indie fan and you want to let Mance have his nice little win and but will it take Jon Moxley longer to beat Chris Jericho on Wednesday?
Yes.
By how many minutes? By maybe 5 minutes? I don't know. It took about 15 minutes. It's 10:17 right now, John. Rampage started at 10. It was about 15 minutes in that range. What did Jericho and Moxley do on Wednesday? 20, 25 maybe?
You mean Wheeler, but yeah.
What?
It was Wheeler versus Jericho, no? That was the main event on Dynamite?
No, I'm talking about on Wednesday when Moxley faces Jericho.
Oh, when that happens, it'll probably be half an hour, but wasn't Wheeler and Jericho, that was like 20 minutes? Like
yeah,
Jericho
took too long too.
Main event star. Man, Jericho gets time. Jericho will get a lot of time.
No, yeah, well he better, but that's what I'm saying is it'll appear as though beating Chris Jericho is just as difficult as beating Mance Warner for Jon Moxley, which doesn't make sense to me. Because Chris Jericho's up here and Mance Warner is a guy who's not even on the thing because I never heard of him.
But it'll come off tougher, without question. I mean, yeah, he bled a bit, but I mean, was there really too much out there? Jericho will throw in a lot more shenanigans in his matches. He'll have a lot more interference. He'll put in the walls probably. Like there'll be a lot more. He'll have a lot more near falls. I feel like Mance maybe got one near fall.
Sure, but I don't think that Jericho will win. That match either.
I question though.
Yeah.
What's really going to happen? Because if Punk's not ready to go for All Out, I mean, maybe you really should save Jericho Moxley for All Out, I think.
That doesn't seem to be what they're doing. They're doing it on Wednesday. I think Punk will be ready.
Maybe you should do it again.
Is Punk not going to be ready? Is there a question?
I mean, All Out's coming up, man. Like, we're less than a month away right now, right? So, and we haven't seen him. You haven't heard anything. Just going to pop up out of nowhere? I don't know.
I just wonder about AEW right now. I'm just not loving everything I'm seeing on their show. I thought Dynamite was pretty good this week.
Ups and downs.
You know, there are some problems. There are a lot of problems. You open the show with Jay Lethal against Orange Cassidy, and I didn't love it.
I like Jay Lethal in the match, so I love the way he actually sold the Orange Cassidy stuff. It's not like he kind of went along with it. It was the way it kind of worked because he was hurt at certain points. Like, it wasn't that he was just like whatever, like everyone else does with it and just goes along with it. Like, there was actual reasoning behind why he was able to get those little kicks on him, because he outsmarted him at certain points, you know? Like, he played well as a heel, Lethal, instead of these face versus face matches. Like, Lethal is great as a heel, and it's great that he won as well, because, like, they need to build him up, I think, as a champion eventually.
Has he won anything in AEW? Like, this is like the first match I've seen him win on TV.
Well, he's won before, but yeah, I guess on Dynamite that might be his first win. But that was huge for him too.
Yeah, I just don't take him that seriously in AEW. When Jay Lethal comes out, I'm like, yeah, all right. What's that big guy gonna do? When's that big guy gonna do something? And he never does anything. He just stands there. They got this gigantic man who just kind of stands there. And then they're like involved with Wardlow, and they want a match with Wardlow, and Wardlow comes out, and it's going to be Lethal versus Wardlow for the TNT title at Battle of the Belts, which is Saturday?
Which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Yeah.
God, they're doing another show tomorrow? Why? Are you tuning into Battle of the Belts to see Jay Lethal and Wardlow? Because the way Jay Lethal's been booked, again, it's like they throw these guys into these matches and expect you to care when they have no backstory going into the match. Jay Lethal has had no build up to Wardlow. Now he's getting a title match. He had the one match with Orange on Dynamite that he won. Other than that, he's been doing that thing with Samoa Joe for some Ring of Honor belt that means nothing. And then we have Wardlow coming into this thing against Jay Lethal. Wardlow's beating everybody. He's on a tear. You don't believe that Wardlow's going to lose to Jay Lethal at Battle of the Belts? So what is Jay Lethal for? They've just given you no reason to believe in him. And they just keep doing that to us with so many guys. And here's another guy with no reason to believe in him. They got Ryan Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler's brother, against Konosuke Takeshita, who's a pretty good wrestler, but lost like all his matches for a while. And now I guess is going to win one back on TV because they know he's really good, but they jobbed him out for several matches.
Well, and he's wrestling Claudio tomorrow for the ROH title.
Oh, there you go. See? He's a guy that means nothing. So AEW's like, how do we make him mean something? Oh, well, let's just let him beat a guy like Ryan Nemeth or Orange Cassidy. Jay Lethal, we want to book him in a match against Wardlow. Well, how do we make him credible? Let's have him beat Orange on TV. And then 3 days later, people will care to see him wrestle in a match for a belt. Please. I'm not watching Battle of the Belts. Skip. I know no titles will change. They might have some good little wrestling matches, but the problem with AEW and with a lot of pro wrestling is that it's just good little wrestling matches, and too many guys can wrestle. That's what I'm noticing. Like when everybody's good at wrestling and can do some good moves, nobody really stands out. It's like, yeah, everybody's kind of solid, but I don't care about anybody. Hulk Hogan didn't do a bunch of moves, but you cared about him. You didn't have to do the moves. It's not about the moves. But all I'm getting from AEW lately, it's like not a lot of build, a lot of confused stories. Some solid wrestling, like the wrestlers do their job.
Match is over already.
But the booking behind it is not really there. Yeah, and that's a pretty Peter Avalon and attacking Takeshita. Because Takeshita just beat Ryan Nemeth on Rampage, but AEW knows that Ryan Nemeth is worth nothing, and they have to build Takeshita to wrestle Claudio tomorrow. So they had Pretty Peter jump in and get beat up by Takeshita too. So it's not just one jobber he beat, but two. So he is strong. It's just not great. It just doesn't seem that thought out. And maybe... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it feels like Battle of Belts is just kind of a thing that they have to fulfill, their commitments, because they have those 4 specials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Battle of Belts is pretty much just a TNT special. They have 1 hour too as well. And it's kind of just a thing that just happens. So it's like, well, this is going to happen because this is what's happening this week. And that's that. It's just extra matches, pretty much.
I think you're right. I think it's a nothing special, and it doesn't really mean anything, but it goes past Battle for the Belts. I want to give a shout-out to some of the members. Franco316. Antoinette is here. Doug Hepburn. Shout-out to everybody watching us live. Antoinette got a new Roman Reigns shirt. Good for you, Antoinette.
Coming to Toronto soon, no?
I think Roman... no, Raw is going to Toronto.
Well, Roman might be there, too.
He might be, but he is advertised for SmackDown in Montreal in 2 weeks, Antoinette. I'm going to see the Tribal Chief. I will acknowledge him.
Got Madison Rayne debuting here.
Oh, wow. Can this company feel more like Impact Wrestling? This feels like a touring Impact Wrestling at this point. It's a touring it's Impact Wrestling, but they're not at the Impact Zone. They tour, their production value slightly better.
Oh, I'd say a lot better, but okay.
Okay, a lot better. But other than that, like the way that the show's being booked, my frustration with the booking of some of my favorite wrestlers, it feels like Impact Wrestling.
Well, I'm sure Impact would love to have Bryan Danielson. Like, that would help it quite a bit.
They had Kurt Angle in his prime. They had Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, and they still couldn't do shit. I mean, they did what they did. He was pretty damn good in his run there. The main event Mafia, John.
Joker's thing was good.
And Hulk Hogan willing to wrestle still. I mean, they had a lot going for them. They couldn't ever put it together. And that's what I feel about AEW right now. It's like, man, I had hope. It seemed like they were in the right direction. And a few years in, I'm like, I don't know if they're putting it all together. It's confused. And possibly the appointment of new people in charge and new vice presidents is what needs to happen. And that's what they did. They put more people in charge. You heard people complaining about the talents, really ex-talents, saying that there was no communication with management, and they're trying to change that. Say that again?
I've heard those comments, yeah.
Yeah, right. Joey Janela and different people have said things after leaving AEW that they weren't happy with how they were talked to or not talked to by the AEW management. Yeah, you could call Antoinette, right? Asking if she could call. Antoinette could call if she wants to. You can always call up Antoinette and talk SmackDown. We'll talk SmackDown too here tonight.
We'll get there.
So AEW has named Sanjay Dutt Vice President of Production and Creative Coordination. QT Marshall, the Vice President of Show and Creative Coordination. Pat Buck, Vice President of Talent Development. So creative coordination, they added 2 guys in creative coordination, which tells you, the creative needs a little bit more coordination. These are new positions, right? So clearly they realize, maybe we need more coordination. This guy, Tony Khan, he's running a football team, he's running a soccer team, he's running a wrestling thing. Like, it's a lot, you know?
It is.
It's a lot.
And he's booking everything, so it needs
Yeah.
help.
Triple H isn't doing any of that. Triple H
he's doing a lot too, though.
Eats, sleeps, breathes this business. You know it.
I mean, talent relations and creative, that's a lot.
He's a cerebral assassin. I think his brain can handle it, John. Okay?
Can his heart handle it?
The King of Kings can handle anything. Pat Buck named the Vice President of Talent Development. Tony Schiavone named Senior Producer and Special Advisor to Talent.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Schiavone got
I guess he has experience.
Job. Like a different job. I think they're just trying to get him off commentary and they like him, so they're trying to give him a role, but I don't know. Special Advisor to Talent? What the hell does that mean?
I find Schiavone's more involved than all of the announcers because he does everything. He does announcing, he does interviews, he does like all their podcasts, all their special shows. Like you see Schiavone more than any other commentator on all AEW stuff.
And Madison Rayne is the women's division coach, and now she's a wrestler too. And she just got bumped off the apron and possibly blew out her knee. I don't know. She's wrestling right now against somebody. I don't know who she is. Oh, she's the
Layla Gray.
Layla Gray, the baddie that Stokely enlisted for his team, right? Stokely?
Right. Stokely Hathaway.
Yeah. So AEW.
He's so good that you eventually remember his name. That's it. Like he's so good that the name is hard to forget. Actually.
Stokely Hathaway. It's a good name. It's a good name.
Oh,
I like him.
He's good though.
Yeah, he's very good. He's pretty good. So AEW, adding some management positions, trying to coordinate their creative. And now there's some other things going on with the network and the parent company of, TNT and TBS. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but Warner Brothers Discovery has been making a lot of cuts. And Warner Brothers Discovery is where they own TBS and TNT, right?
Right.
So they're making cuts, they're consolidating things, and there is talk that this could be bad for AEW in getting their next TV deal. It's possible that it becomes an issue with AEW as far as getting their next deal and getting a big TV deal. I don't know how bad that is. I don't know what that means. But I just wonder how it works if they're no longer on TBS or TNT. Like, say their TV deal goes bust because Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't want to do any more original programming, which seems to be what they're leaning towards, like no more original programming for TBS or TNT. So I wonder what that would mean for AEW, A, where they would wind up as far as a TV deal, and B, what about those championships they named after the channels that they're on? How does that work? I never liked that idea. The TNT title, the TBS title. I always thought it was a bad idea because there's no guarantee your wrestling company is going to stay on that channel forever. Why name a belt after the channel? So I think that might be an issue. I mean, probably the least of their worries, considering they might be looking for a new TV home. But there is talk that, because Warner Discovery is making so many cuts and tightening the budget and consolidating some of their properties, that there could be problems for AEW going forward. Which would be difficult for them. But I think AEW is good enough that some channel would probably take a chance on them, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know what the cable landscape is really like in the United States, but this is not a good time for these types of things to be happening for AEW. And again, what do you do with the belts? I guess they'd have to change the name of the belts or retire the belts. I don't know.
Well, like you said, that's the least of the worries, I think, of the names and everything. That TNT title sounds good. I hope that never really changes. TBS, whatever, but TNT sounds pretty good. But in terms of the TV deal, they still have at least a year left. So
yeah,
for at least a year, they're still going to be on TNT and TBS. So, and for Canada, I'm pretty sure it's going to stay on TSN. I'm not too worried about that.
Franco
says now that they're coming to Toronto.
Franco says streaming is the future. I think he's right. I'm wondering when a pro wrestling company will just be on, Netflix once a week, and that's where Dynamite airs.
It would be better for them in a sense. They get more viewership probably.
Super chat.
Roy is waiting on hold to talk SmackDown. Do I see a caller on hold? I don't know. I don't know if we have anybody. I don't know. I don't know if I see that. Do we have Roy? Hello, Roy? I don't hear a Roy. There's no Roy. John, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting to see what's happening with you here, just letting you figure it out.
No, I'm not hearing anybody.
This match is still going too, by the way. Wow, this is a long match.
What do you think about Madison Rayne being hired as a coach? She just won. Match is over. Madison Rayne beat whoever that is.
Layla Gray.
Right.
She has experience. She's a pretty good wrestler. So I think it's good for the division. I just wonder, is she just going to be coach, or will we see a wrestler more often? Like, that's where I wonder, is like, how much can they get out of her in terms of a run? How much does she want to wrestle?
I don't know. Maybe it's just for one match against Jade Cargill, and then she's just going to coach. Who knows? Here's Jade Cargill doing a promo.
Jade has the open challenge. I don't know. Maybe that's what she's talking about. Maybe Madison will be the open challenge.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an open challenge on Dynamite this week. Jade Cargill and Madison Rayne, possibly. It would make sense.
See, that's the question now. Is this going to be a short thing with her in a run, or are they actually going to use her quite a bit here?
I think it's a short run. I don't know.
If she's going to be the coach, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. Because she's around anyways. Why not use her? Get the most you can out of her.
I don't want to be disrespectful to Madison Rayne, but I've never tuned into a show to watch Madison Rayne.
I feel at one point, you probably weren't watching TNA at that point, but like at one point she was one of the best, or if not the best, in Impact. And that says a lot, because Impact had a very good women's division. So if she can still reach that level, or somewhat that level, that's going to be pretty good for AEW, because as you've seen, not a lot of them can talk. And Madison can definitely do that. And if she can still hang with them in terms of wrestling, they should take full advantage of this.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do with Madison Rayne. It's not really top on my list of priorities for AEW. They're doing Lucha Brothers versus Andrade and Rush on Dynamite this week, which should be pretty good. That should be good. I think the biggest story coming out of Dynamite is the Adam Cole turn on the Young Bucks. Adam Cole and his buddies, O'Reilly and Fish, attacking the Bucks. Cole doing a promo, says he's not medically cleared, and he tells the Bucks, well, I'm not medically cleared, and O'Reilly isn't cleared, and you're not choosing Bobby Fish to be your tag team partner in the Trios tournament, because AEW is doing a Trios tournament for Trios tag team titles, and the Young Bucks want to be in it, but they don't have a partner. Why do they want to be in it so bad? Like, well, why don't they want to get their tag team titles back? I don't understand.
I guess for them, and it kind of makes sense in a way that 6-man tags, that's kind of their thing in a way.
Is it?
Because, yeah, the Elite, when you think about it, the first main event of Dynamite was a 6-man tag, and I believe they were in it, right?
Okay.
So they're kind of the masters of the 6-man tag in a way.
But they're a tag team. They're masters of the 6-man tag with who? Who's their partner?
Well, when Dynamite started, I believe it was Kenny.
Thank
if
you.
I'm mistaken. Now,
Thank you.
Kenny's not around, but you have Hangman. Hangman's a very good replacement.
So Hangman.
Looks like he's going to be Hangman, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be Hangman. Hangman comes out after Cole and O'Reilly and Fish beat down the Bucks. Hangman makes the save with a lead pipe. Then Hangman and Matt Jackson shake hands. So it seems like it's going to be Hangman as their partner in this Trios title tournament, which I don't think has a start date yet, right? Do we know?
Well, it needs to start soon because it's supposed to end at the pay-per-view All Out, right? The finals is supposed to be All Out. And more than likely, the finals is going to be the Bucks and Hangman against the Undisputed Elite, I would think.
So, but didn't Adam Cole say he wasn't medically cleared? But I guess he was lying because he's a heel. He's a liar.
Right. Okay. Well, he wasn't going to turn on the Bucks either, but he did that.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of belts in AEW that mean nothing, and now you're just adding to it. Trios titles. By the way, the Trios titles have all of a sudden become a much more important thing than their tag team titles.
Which should be defended, or is it not defended tonight? But we are going to see the champs.
Are we?
I think that's the main event tonight.
Okay. The champs who are Keith Lee and Swerve. We had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus as tag team champs for so long. And then the Bucks took it.
Long.
It felt like a long time. And the Bucks took it back, and I thought, oh, here we go. The tag division is going to really ramp up now, and we're on the road to FTR and the Bucks at All Out for all the tag team belts that all those teams have, and it's going to be this classic match. And it doesn't seem like we're doing that. We're off on this other tangent of trios belts, and I don't know. Do we have a call? No, we don't have a call. I don't know what's going on. I think people are trying to call in, but they're having trouble doing it. I don't know what's going on. You guys figure it out. I can't be involved in all that right now. But call in if you're a member. If you are a member of the team. I just feel like this whole trios thing is a distraction. The tag team belts are now being put on the back burner. And I think that they're rushing the Hangman reuniting. I think they're rushing the Hangman reunion because Kenny's not medically cleared. I think Kenny was supposed to be in this spot with the Bucks. And because Kenny can't go, they're rushing the Hangman reunion. And I think that's weak for Hangman because clearly if they're putting him in this, they had nothing else for him. This is the best they have for Hangman. Helping the Young Bucks win the trios belts in their feud against Adam Cole and the guys there. I think that they've mishandled Hangman Page since losing the belt. I think that rejoining the Bucks here it's a weird move for Hangman. When he could just take Evil Uno and Johnny Hungy and be like, let's make a run, guys. And I think the fans might be more receptive to that. I don't know. The Bucks have been kind of babyface and heel for so long. Babyface, heel, babyface, heel. They are heels. They get beat down by other heels, and then Hangman comes and saves them. It's hard to feel a bunch of sympathy for the Bucks when they've been kind of heelish for so long too. Like
there you go, it's official.
Jade Cargill, Madison Rayne on Wednesday at Dynamite. Moxley defending the interim AEW title against Jericho. It's Quake at the Lake. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah. I just think that they rushed this Hangman thing. I don't know.
Well, thinking about it,
it was a big like, oh, what's this? What's going on here? But it didn't do much for me.
Well, look at the landscape. If Hangman's not doing this, he's probably facing Moxley, I think. If he doesn't have an opponent for Punk, like if Punk doesn't show up, so Hangman pretty much does nothing. So I think it's better actually for him to be in this.
But that's not good.
Well, that's what happens when you lose a title. You're kind of on your way down a bit. So, I mean, if he can come back and become a trios champion, it's not the worst thing. Especially the first ever champions.
I don't know. I don't know how this trios championship really means anything. It just, there's so many belts in AEW, adding another one, it's like, all right. Didn't Pac win a belt?
All Atlantic Championship, yeah.
Yeah.
He defended it, like they showed it.
Yeah, where? Highlights. It's some like dimly lit room somewhere. Defended it against some guy I never heard of.
He defends the title internationally, which is kind of cool.
What?
Yeah, he defends it all over the world, kind of thing. Like that's what that title kind of is.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just too many belts. The Ring of Honor belts, Trios belts, 2 women's belts. Swerve and Lee are the tag team champs. FTW belt. FTR have like 3 different tag belts. I don't think any of them are AEW belts. So many belts. I don't know who's champion of what now. Wheeler Yuta's got some sort of belt, I think.
He's the pure champion.
Yeah, whatever that means. He's a virgin or something. Saving himself till marriage. I don't know what's going on. It's too much. Too many damn belts. I don't know. What'd you think of the rest of... Huh?
If you just take away the ROH titles, it's not so bad. You just got to get rid of ROH.
What happened to their TV deal?
Well, they don't really have one. It was never set up since...
Are they supposed to get one? Like, are they trying to get one, or does Ring of Honor just not exist? Because you can't have a pay-per-view once every couple of months and then have belts and be like, yeah, it's a promotion. You can't have belts for a thing that only happens once every couple of months. It's not real.
That's what they have right now.
It's not real. Claudio Castagnoli is the champion of nothing. Defending a belt. What belt? Here's an idea. Have Claudio wrestle Moxley and unify those stupid belts. How about that? There's an idea. You know what's cool? Unification matches. Unify your stupid belts. Sick of all these stupid belts. Goddamn belts. Chris Jericho was wrestling Wheeler Yuta in the main event of Dynamite this week, and thankfully he won. Match was all right, but the stipulation was, Jericho, if he loses, Wheeler Yuta gets the shot at Jon Moxley next week for the belt. And it's like, well, we've already been promoting this Jericho match. You promoted it last week on the show. Now this week you're throwing in this Wheeler Yuta match. Wheeler Yuta is on Jon Moxley's team, and he's already wrestled Jon Moxley recently, and no one's believing him for the AEW championship. So clearly Jericho's going to win this match. Like, it was all right, but I don't know. For a main event, didn't do much for me. Wheeler Yuta is this guy that they're trying to push really hard.
They're trying.
And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing charisma. I'm not seeing a level of ability or a level of anything that makes me stop and want to watch. Like, he's a good little wrestler, but that's kind of where it stops. I don't know. What am I missing?
You know, a lot of their top guys see a lot in him, clearly, right? Because he's with one of the top groups. Has some of your favorite wrestlers in it. So if they see something in him, there must be something to him, right?
What? If they see something, there must be something to him? So you're saying I don't see anything, you don't see anything, but because they're booking him in that position, they must be right. Well, do you like it? Do you like it? That's like being served food that sucks, that you don't enjoy, but then it's like, well, the guy's a chef, so he must know what he's doing. If it's trash, it's trash. I'm not saying Wheeler Yuta is absolutely trash with no redeemable qualities. What I am saying is we're seeing a lot of him, and I'm not seeing superstardom from him. I see him in these main events, and I don't know. He's not particularly big. He doesn't have much to say. And his matches are, all right. What? I'm not wrong.
You're not. Yeah, I'm just going to say you're not wrong. But they see differently, obviously, because they're giving him every chance in the world to succeed. And as much as you don't like it, like, they're going to keep doing this. But there's certain guys that they like, and they're going to keep trying to push it.
Yeah. It's a strange thing, the Wheeler Yuta thing, because they won't give it up. I think Daniel Garcia is a little bit better. I liked his promo. He's got more charisma. He's a sports entertainer. I think it's going to be Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson at that pay-per-view, too.
Okay. I'm not dying for that match, but I guess
Bryan's going to get the win back. He needs to get the win back.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
We got Roy on the line. He wants to talk about SmackDown. We're just talking a little Dynamite now. We'll talk about Ric Flair, too. Did you see that Ric Flair match, John?
No.
You didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll talk about it then, and you'll react to what I say. Okay.
That's cool.
Roy wants to talk about SmackDown. What's up, Roy?
I want to get the opinion on the Karrion Kross thing. I thought that was great.
Yeah. John, what did you think about Karrion Kross coming back? He's been gone. He was released by the WWE. Clearly a guy that Triple H had high hopes in. In NXT, he was a guy that they pushed. They liked him in NXT. And then he gets brought up on Raw, and it doesn't look very good for him. Right? He had a pretty terrible showing on Raw. Gets released.
Yep.
And now he comes back, and it's a different presentation, right? It's the presentation more like what we saw in NXT with Karrion Kross with Scarlett, because she never came with him on the main roster, which I thought was odd.
Yep.
I guess Vince has no use for beautiful women that have their man right next to them on the roster. Maybe. Because he didn't bring her up. He said, forget it. You stay in NXT. I got no use for you. Just saying. Given the recent allegations, it's a possibility, pal. So, Triple H, he brings Karrion Kross back, and Karrion Kross shows up tonight, attacks Drew McIntyre, and then Scarlett has a giant hourglass that she puts in front of Roman Reigns and goes, ooh, like your time is up. And Roman's reaction was great. He was kind of like, what? What is this exactly? I liked Roman's reaction, because Roman's reaction to the over-the-top ridiculous entrance is kind of my reaction to it. Like, what the hell is this? But, he's a new character on SmackDown that they're trying to put in the main event that has some potential. He attacked Drew McIntyre, and he seemed to go after Roman Reigns. Is he a heel because he attacked Drew McIntyre, or is he a babyface because he went after Roman Reigns in a way? What is he? So there's a mystery there. He's been gone for a bit, so it's interesting that he's back. I don't hate it. I think it's all right, but he's not my favorite wrestler of all time. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's cool, but he's not like, I don't see him as a guy that's going to move the needle necessarily or change SmackDown forever. He's not going to unseat the Tribal Chief. I know Roy, of course, his mom, Antoinette, they're down with the Tribal Chief.
Roman!
There you go. There's Antoinette. See? I don't think Karrion Kross is going to come in and beat Roman Reigns. I know Scarlett did that whole thing with the hourglass. I don't know. I mean, I think they need somebody after Drew for Roman, and it'll be Karrion Kross.
I think Drew's going to win the title.
You think Drew's going to win the title from Roman?
Wow.
I think it's set up perfectly. It's in the UK. They've built it kind of that way to make it such a big deal. What bigger deal would it be than to have him win in the UK on such a big show?
Yeah, I just think that Roman shouldn't lose. I don't think Roman should lose the belt at all. I think it would be a misstep by the WWE to take the belt off of Roman, and I think that they should keep the belt on him until at least WrestleMania, but past WrestleMania, and not have him lose the belt until after WrestleMania. He's got to keep the belt, stay on this massive run until he beats Cousin Dwayne at WrestleMania. Once he beats The Rock, then maybe you lose. Maybe you lose to Cody. Maybe you lose to Karrion Kross. Maybe you lose to Drew McIntyre. Maybe you lose to MJF. Whoever it is after WrestleMania, that's who you can lose to. But I don't have Roman lose the championship right now on this run to a guy like Drew McIntyre, because he's going to win it back. I don't see a point in dropping it and then taking it back, because at WrestleMania, Roman has to be the guy. And Roman is doing everything he can to be the guy right now. So keep it on him, build him, because that's another thing. Roman is taking on The Rock at WrestleMania, we think, right?
I don't think it'll happen.
I think it will. I think it's going to be Roman and The Rock. They're going to Hollywood. This is the match over a year in the making. This is for who's the real tribal chief, who's the head of the family. I think it's going to be Roman and The Rock, and if they're going to build Roman to face a guy like The Rock, they got to build him strong. And how strong can you get by beating everybody and being champion for, it'll be close to 600 days, I think, by WrestleMania time.
I'm
I'd
wondering
keep
if it'll
Roman
get
strong.
to a point though where fans will start turning on him because they're just getting tired of the same old thing. It hasn't gotten there yet because remember, everybody wanted Liv Morgan to win the title too, and there's been quite a change of people's perception of her since she won the title now. A lot of negative reactions from the audience this week.
Sure, but I think, with Roman Reigns, you want people to turn on him because he's a heel. He's supposed to be your top heel, but he comes out, he does the "we the ones" thing, and everybody puts the ones up. The tribal chief comes out, acknowledge me, people are cheering, people are on their feet. People love Roman Reigns right now. People are liking Roman Reigns in this gimmick probably more than they ever have. So, sure, keep the title on him and hope that people turn on him, but I think that, the more you keep the title on Roman, the more Roman keeps delivering when he needs to. The WWE made mistakes early on with Roman by shoving him down our throat, by showing him 2 or 3 times per show every show. It was too much, Roman, and no matter how good a guy is, if you see him constantly, you're going to get tired of him. And it was clear, hey, this is Roman Reigns. Here's our guy. Watch him all the time. Please like him. And the fans were like, well, no, because we know what you're doing, right? But eventually they figured out what to do with Roman Reigns. They got this tribal chief gimmick, and it started off heelish, but the longer it goes, the longer he remains champion, the longer he delivers in the main events like he did with Brock at SummerSlam. People are appreciating what he does. He only shows up once in a while, so he feels like a big deal. Antoinette, your mom's saying we need more Roman. I don't think we need more Roman. I think we're getting the right...
That's what's making him feel special.
Exactly. We're getting the right amount of Roman Reigns. We only saw him for 10 minutes tonight, and it felt like a big deal. When Roman comes out, there's the aura. He's got all the belts. He's got the Usos, who are his goons that are like less handsome versions of him. They look like him, but they're not as handsome as he is. So they're perfect goons, and they have all the belts too, so they look really cool. And then he's got Heyman in the suit and his face and everything bowing down to him. Visually, it looks really good as a stable. He looks like a champion and a top guy. He's working right now. He's working very well. So
my concern though is have they built him to be too big than everything else on the roster? Because that's how it's starting to feel, that there's nobody else on his level around him.
That's right.
To compete with him.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think because he beat everybody, right? He's beat everybody that's currently there, but he hasn't beat Cody. He hasn't properly beat Seth. There are guys out there that he hasn't really finished, and there's, of course, The Rock, who's, an outside thing. And that's why the big matches with Roman Reigns keep being Brock Lesnar, because Brock is the only other guy you could believe against Roman because he's another outside guy who looks like not beatable to any other guy but Roman Reigns, right? Like Brock Lesnar is the top guy in the WWE except for Roman Reigns, and all the other guys in WWE have no shot, and that's why you have to put him up against Roman. Roman is up against the strongest of the strong, and that's, guys that he hasn't beat before. That's why Karrion Kross is a good play right now, because he's coming in strong, and Roman hasn't defeated him yet. But I think Cody Rhodes is going to be a real big one. I think Seth Rollins down the road is going to be a real big one. I actually think that if they don't have The Rock for WrestleMania, it should be Seth. I think that's going to be a big one too. Seth and Roman.
I think the problem with having Seth being taken so seriously compared to Roman is Seth has been losing every match that he's been in this year, pay-per-view wise at least. Mm-hmm. He's always been presented in a way that fans care, But I don't know if it makes a difference that he's lost every single pay-per-view that he's almost had this year.
No, I mean, I get it, but if you look at him, like he had a match this week with some Montez, right? On Raw.
Yep.
There was, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Your mom. Who? Montez Ford, right?
Yeah,
Street Profits. Yeah.
Yeah, the Street Profit guy, Bianca's husband. That's who Montez is to me. He's Bianca's husband. Like Bianca's the star, you know. And
think
Seth
Montez
is kind
has
of
a
Becky's
future as a
husband.
single star.
I
Yes,
mean,
he
I
does.
think he may have a future. I just don't know how bright it
Big
is.
of a
I mean,
future?
he'll
Yeah.
have a future, but like Seth goes in there against Montez. At no point ever do you believe Montez Ford has a shot in hell against Seth. Like Seth has lost a lot of matches, yes, but to who? Cody Rhodes. You know, a guy that they're pushing as the next big thing in the WWE. They give him a massive entrance. You know, he's getting a lot of promo time. They clearly have a lot invested in Cody Rhodes, and Seth is there to make him look good because Seth is a top guy who's already established who can then, you know, make Seth look better. So I think, make Cody look better. So I think that no matter how many matches Seth loses, he's still a star. And because of that history with Roman and the Shield, Seth can win a couple of matches and have a big match with Roman Reigns. That match, like, they never really got it done. Wasn't it supposed to happen at a pay-per-view, John, but it never quite happened? What happened there?
I
Was it
think
the
Roman
Rumble?
got COVID.
Roman got COVID, right? Was that it?
Yeah, I believe he got COVID in one of those matches when he was supposed to fight Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be Brock, I think.
Oh yeah, no, that was the one against Brock.
Weren't
Something
Roman and
happened.
Seth at some point supposed to go up against each other, John? Wasn't that supposed to happen?
They faced at the Rumble and ended in a DQ. Remember?
Right. I knew that there was like unfinished business there, but I forgot why. I said Rumble. I knew something happened, something to do with the Rumble. So the match happened, but Roman got disqualified, right? Seth won. Did he not?
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, Seth has a win over Roman Reigns. And this past week, he addressed Roman Reigns on SmackDown. He said, he talked about Riddle and attacking Riddle at SummerSlam and all that stuff with Riddle. And then he's like, now let's talk about Roman Reigns and the Undisputed Championship. And that's when the Street Profits interrupted him. But clearly the WWE, and you know that Triple H is back in charge. You know Seth is his boy. The WWE now, they've got plans for Seth in a big way, and he's going to be pushed in a big way, and that makes sense to me because he's one of their biggest stars. Him and Roman, I've said it many times, they are the modern Hogan and Macho of this era. Roman being Hogan and Seth being the Macho Man.
Think of Shane
It makes me wonder though if the titles are going to continue to be unified like that because they address it as such, but they make it seem like they're going to split them up again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the way it works now with Roman appearing on both shows, not every show, not all the time, but the schedule that he's on right now works for me. It works for me.
It's perfect. It's not too much. It's not too little. Makes him just feel important. Kind of has that Brock aura, but a little bit more than we get Brock.
I think that if you have a world champion who doesn't appear very much and is the champion, one world champion. I am always a fan of one world champion because he feels so much more important, Because if you have two world champions, like, well, who's really the champion? I mean, it's Roman, but still. The fact that he has both belts is good. At the same time, the WWE, again, I think Triple H's influence has been really good so far.
I think it's been amazing.
They're setting up matches for their mid-card titles. And they've done that. They did that right away. They recognize, okay, we need to make these mid-card belts mean a little bit more. So what did they do this week on Raw? That had AJ Styles wrestle The Miz and Mustafa Ali in a triple threat match. AJ Styles won that match. Then he went on to face Ciampa, who had defeated Dolph Ziggler and Chad Gable. So then it was Ciampa versus AJ, with the winner facing Bobby Lashley next week on Raw for the U.S. title. So they're establishing, here's Bobby Lashley, he's our U.S. champion, Here's Ciampa. He just beat AJ Styles, and now he gets a U.S. title shot next week, and this means something. Tonight on SmackDown, we had Shinsuke Nakamura beating Ludwig Kaiser, and then because he did that, he gets a shot at Gunther's Intercontinental Championship next week on SmackDown. If you have a world champion who is not there all the time, not defending all the time, you need strong mid-card champions that are being used, that are defending to keep that show alive. And I think Gunther and Bobby Lashley are very good in their roles, but if Ciampa or Shinsuke Nakamura took over, they'd also be very good. So I think that the WWE made some really smart moves this week, setting themselves up for the future with those mid-card belts, with Roman Reigns on top, holding both championships. You want those mid-card champions to feel special, and I think Gunther is great as an Intercontinental Champion. Him and Shinsuke next week, that's going to be a very good match, and I'm excited to see what happens with Bobby Lashley and Ciampa, because I could see Ciampa taking the U.S. title. I mean, Ciampa was just the Miz's backup guy his whole run under the Vince McMahon creative. Now all of a sudden Triple H takes over and Ciampa's winning 2 matches on Raw. He's got a title shot against Bobby Lashley. I mean, it feels like Ciampa time. It really does. It feels like Tommaso Ciampa is going to win the U.S. title next week, and maybe if he wins the U.S. title, he'll get his first name back. I think that would be nice. If he wasn't just Ciampa, if he was Tommaso Ciampa again, I think that would be good. But, you clearly see the Triple H influence. Dakota Kai getting hired back. You have Dakota, Io, and Bailey being a thing now. You have Ciampa winning matches. Ricochet won a match. I mean, the Triple H influence is obvious, and I think it's a good thing. I think that we're seeing some positives, and we'll see what he decides to do with Roman Reigns, but I think he's going to be smart and recognize, hey, you keep the belt on him, you have a very, very big match with The Rock at WrestleMania. That is blockbuster. If Roman is champion for 500-600 days, I'm not sure what it'll be by then, but it'll be several hundred days. One of the longest reigns in the modern era. If he holds the belt all the way there, is this unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, The Rock? I think we got money. I think we got pay-per-view. So,
on the topic of mid-card talent, what other mid-card talent do you think could be potentially coming back with Triple H's influence?
Johnny Gargano, I think
For sure.
they'll probably bring
Bray
him back.
Wyatt in mind. I don't know if that's too far-fetched.
Who? Heidenreich?
Bray Wyatt.
Oh. I think Heidenreich, probably. That'd be good.
That's
I
far
think Michael Cole would be terrified.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Maybe Snitsky if we're lucky. No, I think Gargano. Bray Wyatt is possible. Yeah, I think anything's possible.
It's crazy seeing the lineup of people just being like, I'd be more open to coming back under this new regime versus the old Vince McMahon ideologies.
Not surprised. Not surprised at all by that. Vince.
We've been seeing Maria saying her and Mike would consider coming back. You're seeing all these names who had very awkward releases or got fired, and you're just they're willing to come back and give it another opportunity just because it's a new voice and there's no Vince around. And even with the news of Naomi and Sasha possibly coming back.
Yeah, I think that they probably will. They announced tonight on SmackDown that they're going to do women's championship, women's tag, the title tournament, right? Sasha and Naomi were the tag team champions, and then they disappeared, and now they're bringing back those belts, starting with a tournament on Raw, and I think that may lead to Sasha and Naomi coming back as the champions. We'll see there, but I think Sasha or Naomi or both will probably wind up making their way back to the WWE. But again, I just think that a change makes a lot of sense. It makes sense that people want to see Triple H in charge, that people are more willing to go back to the WWE with Triple H in charge, because Vince over the years made things weird. He owned a company, he owns a company called World Wrestling Entertainment, and he banned all his talent from saying wrestling on TV. Like, the company's called World Wrestling Entertainment, and he didn't want you saying wrestling or wrestler on the show. And tonight I heard Pat McAfee say wrestling on the show. And people were saying wrestler, wrestling, belt. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that Vince was not in favor of that made no sense. That a person, who's a little bit more logical, who isn't a mad billionaire, might not do. Vince just had these quirks and eccentricities that spilled out into the WWE that made the talent kind of walk on eggshells, because you never knew what weird thing you would do to offend the boss. Like, you really never knew what you might say that Vince might jump on you and get really mad about. And that was true for so many people. Vince would just lose it on them. I remember hearing a story about Renee. Renee Young told a story about Vince McMahon saying that she was introducing a video package for Tyson Fury when he was wrestling, and she didn't call him the lineal heavyweight champion. She just said, "Oh, here's the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury." And Vince jumped in her ear and just started yelling at her, like, "You ruined it, you fucking ruined it," like mad, yelling, going bananas. And she's hearing this in her headphones, and I think Booker T and maybe Beth Phoenix, like, it was one of those panels, so they're all hearing it. And Vince is just, yelling at this grown woman, saying she ruined the angle and just screwed up everything. And it's just like, okay, it's not really necessary to go to that length. And I think that was happening a lot. I think that things like that, little things that Vince had, little quirks, I think made the WWE a weird place to be. And now that Vince is gone, it's kind of like, okay, well, here's Triple H, who's not sexually assaulting people, who's, he's a little bit younger, a little bit more with it, and also an ex-wrestler, which doesn't hurt either. I think a lot of wrestlers see Triple H as one of the guys. A lot of the current talent have wrestled Triple H. They haven't wrestled Vince. They're not as comfortable with Vince. So I think Triple H just makes people more comfortable, And I can understand why people will be more willing to work for Triple H than Vince McMahon at this point in time, It makes sense to me, John. Wouldn't you rather work? Well, I don't know about you, John. You're a special case. Would you rather work for Triple H or Vince?
Probably
better
Vince.
say Triple H, because Vince isn't in charge anymore, John.
Well, I said Vince already.
Oh
I'd
my God.
go with Vinny, actually.
It's ridiculous. Even now, 77-year-old Vince,
yeah.
You're still going with Vince.
I mean, Vinny's more over now than ever now, if you think about it.
You're
Like,
ridiculous.
when he came out on
That's
SmackDown
ridiculous.
Raw,
It's not about
the
being
reaction
over.
he got,
That's a ridiculous statement. I don't even accept it. I'm not accepting it.
wow,
Roy,
acknowledge it.
you've been an excellent caller. Harold Schneider dropped a super chat. He says, love it when people call in. Doug Hepburn dropped a super chat. He says, Dave, I need your Yanks to win for $40. Well, the Yankees are up 3-2 right now,
Blue
Doug,
Jays.
in the bottom of the eighth. Yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays can go all they want there, Roy, but I got to tell you, I don't know if it's going to work this year because the Yankees are much better. All right. Well, thank you. I don't know what Antoinette is saying. What is she saying,
He said
Roy?
when Aaron Judge leaves, let her know.
He's not leaving. He's going to get paid big time in the post. Once
$40.
Once the Yankees win the World Series this year, they're going to have no choice but to pay Aaron Judge what he deserves. Once he wins the World Series and breaks the home run record, they're going to have no choice but to pay
He
Aaron
seems so
Judge.
disinterested being in New York. I've seen so many of his interviews just asking him about his payday and stuff, and he just seems so disinterested with the idea right
I
now.
would be too.
I think he's upset that they don't want to give him as much money as he's asking for, but they'll figure it out. He'll get paid. He'll
Shohei
get a deal
Ohtani
done.
wants $50 million a season.
Yeah. So Aaron Judge can get 75.
I need to play baseball.
Yeah. There's no
Oh,
money
man.
like baseball money. Baseball money is different. Uh-oh. Ah, jeez. It's 3-3.
Doesn't sound good.
No.
That
What's
sounds
he
bad.
watching?
Cardinals
Well.
just hit a double. It's now 4-3. 4-3 Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. And Antoinette is cheering that, so I'm cutting you guys off. Thanks for calling, Roy and Antoinette. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough of that. Yankees go down. They're up 3-2. They go down 4-3. Antoinette's cheering that. Cut that call right off. Thank you, Roy. You were great. Call again, Roy. It was good talking to you.
That was fun.
Yeah, it's good when people call in. And if you want to call in, be a member. Become a member. It's just $5 a month. It really, it's not so bad. It's pretty good. And then you could call in and you support the channel. And, you know, as many members as we can get is what we're looking for. We are the #1 pro wrestling show in the world. Like, we don't have the numbers to back that as far as, like, you know, views and stuff like that, or money or any of these things. But we have the belief, we have the product, we have Johnny North. #1 wrestling show in the world. Unbeatable.
Counting down to 600 pretty soon.
Oh, my God.
Episodes.
We're close, right?
We'll be there in September.
September. So many things happening in September.
Probably the week after the Clash pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah?
The way I'm looking at the landscape. Because we won't be here the following week. Like next week, yes, but the following week, no, because SmackDown in Montreal.
I'm going to SmackDown. I can't do the show because I'll be at the smacking. I'll be smacking it down.
So,
Yeah,
so 600 will be, the second week of September.
that's right. Antoinette says it's the only show I listen to. It's the only wrestling show you need to listen to. What do you need to listen to other wrestling shows for? Unnecessary. And some of them are racist, so don't listen to those guys. It's amazing what I hear some other wrestling shows do. Some of them are just in it for lies and exaggerations. Not me. I don't lie or exaggerate. I just tell you what I think about the wrestling, and, you know, it's a pretty educated opinion. I've been around for a while. You know what I'm saying? John knows what I'm saying. John's been around for a while, too. We're both older. We're getting older, and we've been watching wrestling forever. You know?
There was something on the watch along because I watched it back afterwards, and it kind of upset me quite a bit.
I did?
Because, because you and Fred were talking about, you were saying how great the acknowledge me catchphrase was. And I remember, I think it was last year, you were like, oh, acknowledge me. What a terrible catchphrase.
It's grown on
Funny
me.
how 1 year, it's completely changed. I'm
You're
like,
right.
wow, a completely different person.
You're right. Well, I'm the same person. I just I like it now. Like it's just like if you do something over and over again, sometimes it's like, yeah, all right, acknowledge me. I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's a ridiculous catchphrase, and I like that it somehow got over. It's weird. It's like if you keep doing something, you know, it usually works. Acknowledge
Oh,
me.
it definitely works. Like it's the best thing right now in wrestling in terms of catchphrases.
Where am I sitting at SmackDown? I don't know. Somewhere in the Reds at the Bell Center. Are you going?
Yeah, I think I might be going. Not
Oh.
100% sure, but probably.
Who's this ticket hookup you have? Who's giving you tickets?
Oh, I got a guy.
Do I know?
We'll talk off. We'll talk off air.
Do I know
Talk
him?
off air. I believe so. Yeah.
Does he wrestle for WWE?
No. It's not no one like
okay.
that.
Does he wrestle?
I don't think so, as far as
Oh.
I know. But he's a good friend.
And I know him, and he's got tickets for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
As far as I know, wait and see. Should. If I'm
Is it-
there, you'll know.
Is it AJ?
I don't think AJ is going to be there. I was hoping AJ would be on tonight because we didn't see AJ last night.
Oh, yeah. Well, because AJ was off last night. AJ had like vacation things, and Fred had vacation things. I was going to do a show by myself, but then I was like,
Well, AJ said he's like a wrestling expert now after SummerSlam, and he was right about a lot of stuff too. I mean, he was right about Ronda and Liv. Like Ronda got screwed, and he was right.
yeah,
That's how
he liked
everyone's
that
feeling
one.
about it.
He liked that one. Anything else happen on wrestling tonight? What happened on SmackDown?
Well,
We
the
had
whole-
a
The
gauntlet.
Liv promo.
Oh, the Liv promo. Yeah, that was good, right?
We gotta talk
Fans-
about that. That was
Fans turning on Liv.
fantastic.
Oof, that was great. So Liv is getting
She got
interviewed
mad.
by Kayla. Yeah, Liv clearly got mad.
Swore.
She started swearing at the fans. Liv's arm is in a brace because Ronda busted it. Kayla's interviewing Liv. Talks to her about the SummerSlam finish where Liv had Ronda pinned but was also tapping out. The referee didn't see the tap but counted her to 3. And then Liv is taking some boos from the fans, and then the fans start chanting, "You tapped out," to Liv Morgan, who's supposed to be the babyface.
She doesn't take it too well.
No, she's like, "Rrr." She looks like she's going to cry, which is kind of her resting face, like resting, crying face. But then she says, well, apparently she said, it got bleeped out, but apparently she said that she appreciates the fans calling her out on her shit.
Yeah, what the heck? What a terrible thing to say.
I don't know. She broke.
Yeah.
She broke. I mean, the crowd.
I think it devastated her a bit. Kind
Yeah.
of. Like she wants to be everyone's like hero, and they don't accept her, and I think it crushed her a bit.
See, D Martin 85, shout out D Martin, says Liv is the perfect example of another wrestler everyone wanted to be pushed, and she does, they turn on her. See, I disagree with that. I never wanted Liv Morgan to get this push, right? I never thought this was a good idea,
I'm aware of that.
right?
The months of saying like, why Liv Morgan?
Why they keep giving her matches on TV? Why do I keep watching her
When she
wrestle on TV?
When
Right?
she was doing with Becky, you were like, this is enough. It kept happening too. You kept
Yeah.
getting those matches over.
It was
and over.
never good. It was never good either. Because fundamentally, Liv is not very good at the art of professional wrestling.
But she's gotten better. You got to give her that.
If you start from 0 and make it to 3 on a scale of 100, I mean, yeah, okay. You got better, but there's still people that are 97s, and you're a 3.
There's not a lot of 97s if you think about it. When Charlotte's not around, Sasha's not around, you're
Ronda's
losing
not
those
around.
97s.
Rhonda?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
But,
You don't-
okay, but at least we got some 65s and some 78s lying around. Anyhow. I never thought this was a good idea, right? And now it's happened. So we're paying attention because she's the champion, right? They're focusing on her. They're giving her TV time. They're having whole gauntlet matches on SmackDown to determine her challenger for Clash at the Castle. So it's not that, Liv, people are rejecting her because, oh, we wanted her to win, but now that she's won, we don't like it. No, that's not what's going on. What's going on is people are like, I can't believe they made Liv Morgan the champion, and I can't believe they had her beat Ronda. What the hell is this? So when she comes out to do her crappy little promo, people are going to be like, oh, let's fuck with her and fuck with the WWE because screw this. You know? Like, let's mess with this program because we don't like it. So they start chanting, you tapped out at Liv. What happened there was the audience telling the WWE, we see this thing you're doing with Liv Morgan. It's ridiculous, and we're going to fuck with it. We're going to go, Liv, you tapped out. We're going to mess with this baby face that you're trying to make a baby face.
Super chat. Super chat.
And it
super
rattled her. I'll give you some picks, Doug. I'll give you some picks at the end of the show. Stay tuned. Because we didn't do the MMA show yesterday, so I'll give you some picks, even though
You retired.
I think I've retired from picks because my picks suck. I think, I was on such a roll.
Everyone has a bad week. Don't worry about it.
It wasn't just a bad week, John. I was so confident in Juliana. After the first fight, there was just so much. I was like, oh, I'm so confident she's going to win. It's not like it was close either. She got destroyed.
It's a
And
rematch, though.
I know, but I was so wrong. I'm never that wrong. I'm never that far off. The fact that I was that far off that I couldn't see what was going to happen makes me question everything about my ability to pick fights. It really does.
We all have an off night. AJ has to win sometimes.
Fred won. AJ didn't win shit.
Well, in terms of that one, like...
Yeah, whatever. AJ usually loses. Fred wins a lot. I refuse to let AJ win. I just think that there's just nothing to Liv Morgan, and it was apparent tonight. She was rattled. It didn't look good. And then we have a gauntlet match. Sonya Deville wrestles Aaliyah, and Sonya beat her, and then that happened. And then Raquel Rodriguez started beating people. Raquel Rodriguez enters the gauntlet. She beats Sonya. Then she eliminates Shotzi, Xia Li, and Natalya. So they're pushing Raquel Rodriguez. And then Shayna comes out as the last participant in this gauntlet. And I was really waiting for Charlotte Flair is going to be the last person, or Sasha Banks. And then Shayna comes out, beats Raquel Rodriguez, and then gets a title shot at Clash of the Castle. They show a graphic, and they're just like, yeah, it's Liv versus Shayna. Huh?
Well, because they're going to let Ronda be suspended for a little bit. Let this play out, and then Liv's going to beat Ronda's friend, right? Try to add up her credibility, which will add more resentment probably from fans that she's beating real fighters that people don't believe she could ever beat. So, I mean, I think they could really make her a top heel right now, like having her like that was a huge problem too with the finish. I mean, she lost. Like the referee screwed up, but she lost, and I think people will see through that. It's like, yeah, you're a loser.
Yes.
So they should keep playing into that. Like I think Ryan Katz said that, like it wasn't a clean finish, and people will see that. And they should keep doing that.
And Ronda is suspended because she attacked the referee after the match, so that delays the rematch, which should be at the Clash at the Castle. But apparently it's not. Not yet, anyways. Because I think Dave Meltzer reported that Ronda was going to be wrestling at the Clash of the Castle. I don't know.
She could still be, but just not in that match, possibly.
Well, if she's not in that match, what is she doing? Wrestling Charlotte in the number one contenders? Wrestling in the tag title tournament? Like, how does she get in that if she's suspended?
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe they'll drop out Shayna, possibly, but I don't know. Like, we don't have a lot of time to pull this off.
Shayna and Liv, to me, is not a big-time match. I'm not really sure why they're doing that. It was a weird booking.
A connection with Ronda.
Because of the Ronda connection? Is that it? Because here's like another MMA person?
And she's got the injury, Liv, going into this, right? I mean, to me, this smells like Cena all over again. How like people resented Cena because he started beating like guys like Kurt Angle, where it's like you shouldn't be beating Kurt Angle. Like, I mean, he's got the injury too. Like, oh, his ankle's injured, so Kurt should win with the ankle lock, but he doesn't. Same thing here with Liv. Like, she's got the injured arm. Oh, Shayna should win, but no, she won't. It's gonna backfire too, I think.
Yeah, I think people are already starting to reject it. Yeah.
UK fans love hijacking the show.
Yup. They're going to take over that show. Liv's going to be the heel, I think. As she should be. As she should be. Yeah, that was interesting tonight. And I think the fact that that happened made me realize, like, oh, they're not drowning out the crowd anymore. When they're not getting the right reactions from the crowd, they're actually letting them go. That's new.
They see that kind of doesn't work. But
well,
I also noticed, like, that match, the crowd died after that match because that match was so long and so uneventful for so long that people stopped caring. It hurt the main event. It hurt the last scene with Karrion Kross because of that. Because that gauntlet was so bad.
I mean, we still had the Viking Raiders squashing 2 jobbers after that, and then Kofi Kingston. I don't know, John, because the crowd seemed to get up for Kofi Kingston with the kendo stick. Kofi Kingston jumps
a little bit,
and that was after the gauntlet. Kofi Kingston comes out, you know, and those fans go bananas. They liked it.
But that was, I don't know if they were big into that Eric versus Kofi match, though.
No,
kind of
that
died
killed
down
it.
Again afterwards.
That killed it. Should have just left it with Kofi attacking. But then you have Eric versus Kofi right after, and you're like, why? And Kofi gets a win. And then you do the Roman promo. Do you think that the crowd was not in it for Karrion Kross? Did they not know what was going on? Did they not care? Because the pop wasn't huge.
The way I saw it was that it was confusing because everything goes dark. There's some sort of figure at the entranceway, and then Kross from behind, dressed in black. Like, you don't know who it is. I think that was the problem with the whole situation, is that people weren't familiar with who Karrion Kross is. Like, he had a different gimmick before, so I think that was the problem, was that he's been off TV too long. Everything was dark. They couldn't tell who it was.
He was bald before,
didn't know
right?
Who he was. That's something too. His look, like, who is this guy? I'm sure there was like a lot of at first.
Yep.
And we can hear Michael Cole and McAfee say, "Oh, it's him," but not everyone gets that. So I don't think a lot of people knew what was going on. Like, it should have said Karrion Kross on the screen. I think that would have helped a lot.
Yeah, it was really unclear who he was. I think if you're, if you have a seat, 30, 40 rows up, it's hard to tell who that guy is unless you're really in tune with his theme music, which I could tell because I saw his face. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Control Your Narrative.
Yes.
I know that guy. He's in Control Your Narrative Wrestling. What's he doing here? Anyways, he's kind of a controversial figure, no? Isn't he a little... He said some things while he's been gone from WWE, hasn't he?
He may have. I'm not 100% sure. I don't keep up with that.
Yeah.
But I think he's someone they need, actually. And to me, it's like, well, this is the telling sign that Drew's not going to win because Karrion Kross is around. He's probably going to maybe screw him over in that match. I can see lights go out like that, too. Maybe Drew stops him, but then Roman stops Drew.
Is this Karrion Kross thing for Roman next or for Drew next?
I think Drew.
Just like a match between those two, because why not? That's their feud.
Well, I think it'd be a pretty good match. It makes sense, too. 2 big guys. Like, that'd be pretty good.
Who goes over in that program? Karrion Kross, because it's his first big thing?
Should. Makes the most sense. Like, to come back and then just lose. I mean, that's kind of how he started, which was kind of stupid, but maybe do it the right way this time and have him win.
What's going on with Sami Zayn and the Usos tonight? Sami wanted to talk to Roman. They didn't want him to talk to Roman. They told him to go make sure the entrance is set up for Roman, and then one of the Usos started yelling at Sami and telling him to level up, or he's going to have to take off his bloodline shirt and he won't be an honorary Uso anymore. It didn't really have a conclusion. It was just like, oh, I guess Sami has to prove himself to the Usos again.
Well, it helps push that narrative that you think they're going to make Sami a face. I think he's just going to become more of a coward, I think, and try to like impress them even more. I think that's the way I'm looking at it. But maybe they're going that direction. I think that's way too soon. I think he's actually going to even go further down in terms of being like sucking up to them.
I don't know. It's like a weird side story that's been happening, but it doesn't seem to have a clear direction. But they gave it some time tonight. I was waiting for a resolution at some point, but we didn't have one. So I guess stay tuned to find out. Over on Raw, we had a lot of this. We had Becky Lynch, who's injured. She's got a shoulder injury. She's legit hurt. She's out for a while, right?
Yep.
She had a nice little promo with Bianca Belair at the start of Raw, and then she got beat up backstage. Well, no, I didn't like it, but it was like a, I'm a babyface, you're a babyface, let's be friends now type of thing.
See, Edge did it the right way on Raw. The way he did it, he's like, look, I was a dick. I think he may have said a-hole, but whatever, like something like that. And like, Edge did it the right way, just straight up said it. Like, I was stupid, but now I'm coming here, I'm going to kill what I created.
Yeah, Becky's promo was just like, I've got to go away for a while. Bianca's great. She's the best. She beat me. Good for her.
It was great for Bianca. It's like, yeah, beat Becky, put her away. She's done. I'm still the champ. Great for Bianca. Becky looked like she was nothing now.
Yeah. And Bayley, Io, and Dakota attack Becky backstage, and then Bianca had to run and chase them off. There's no security.
She didn't have to.
She didn't have to? It seemed like she had to. Nobody else seemed to be helping. I don't know.
She did it like twice during the show too. Didn't she save like Bliss and Asuka as well? Like, apparently she's like the hero of like the women's division. She saves everybody.
Well, she's the babyface, She's the champion. She's the top babyface.
Yeah, she is.
Asuka and Alexa Bliss had a match. Bayley, Io, Sky, and Dakota Kai attacked. And then Bianca showed up and ran everybody off. And then it was Bianca and Io Sky in a match later on that ended in a no contest again when Bayley and Dakota...
I was pissed about that.
Why?
Like, you give us that match just to end in a no contest to a no contest. I was not happy.
Well, I think they're building something because Bayley and Dakota attack Bianca, but then Asuka and Alexa Bliss show up, and then the babyfaces stood tall. So it's like, okay, we're trying to establish. You got Bayley and her new group with Io and Dakota, and now you have Bianca, and she's aligned with Asuka and Alexa Bliss. We're just trying to make the teams and figure out who's on whose side. They're planting the seeds. And I could see Asuka and Alexa Bliss being in the tag team title tournament at this point. And I could see Dakota and Io as a team in the tournament too, because, who else is there? Maybe they bring back Carmella and Zelina. Where's Zelina? Maybe she's not hurt anymore. I don't know.
Well, there's Doudrop and Nikki Ash.
Okay. There's one other team, but, you're supposed to have a tournament and not much in the way of teams.
It's tough. On SmackDown, just put two people together kind of thing. That's what they're going to have to do pretty much because there's really no teams on SmackDown, but oh well.
What do you do? Shotzi and Xia Li or something?
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, what happened to Lacey? What the hell happened to Lacey? Is she okay? Because she got pulled last week before she was supposed to wrestle Aaliyah last week. She got pulled like 3 hours before the show. They were still advertising her. She gets pulled for medical reasons. They don't say what. And now this week they have a gauntlet. I totally thought she'd be in it. She wasn't. Not on the show. Another week now, no Lacey. I like Lacey. Where is she? Is she okay? Is there any word?
Well, I didn't hear anything, but like to me it makes sense she wasn't in this because like she just like is a heel now, right? She hasn't even had a match yet. Her debut match is going to be in a gauntlet that she probably won't win. Like, it makes sense to actually not to put her in this.
I don't know. I guess it did. But why is she not on the show? I find it
That's
odd.
a good question.
I find it odd that she just kind of disappeared last week and now she's not on the show again this week.
Kevin Owens disappeared again as well. Like, he showed up 1 week after being gone for so long, and he's gone again. So these mystery injuries that are happening in WWE.
That's true. I think Kevin Owens is probably in a good spot though with Triple H now in charge of creative, right? Triple H clearly likes Kevin Owens. Healthy. Yeah. AJ saw him at the zoo last week.
That's cool. Well, it's good that, he's seeing his family then. It's good.
Yeah.
Enjoy Montreal now because it's good now. It's not going to be good later.
You mean in the wintertime?
Well, I think that's his thing right now. Like, he'll come in the summertime. You'll see him around. You won't see him in the wintertime. He'll go back to Florida.
That makes sense. I would do the same if I were him.
I'm sure a lot of people do the same.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty smart move. Kevin Owens is advertised to wrestle at the Montreal SmackDown show, even though he's a Raw guy on the Scott Stanford promos. He's advertised to wrestle on SmackDown. I think maybe a dark match.
Well, he could be on the main show. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone from Raw and SmackDown just show up, so it doesn't really matter anymore. So
that's true. That's true. All right, John. I just want to run down a couple of things that we didn't touch on here on the show. What? This is a dumb question. I got a dumb question for you, okay? The Acclaimed and the Ass Boys, right? They had their match, the dumpster match.
Dumpster match.
Which I thought was cool because Billy Gunn, the Ass Boys' father, was in the most famous dumpster match of all time with the Road Dogg against Terry Funk and Mankind at WrestleMania 14. So that's cool for me to see the Ass Boys in a dumpster match. Yeah, I love the dumpster match. And they did a thing like Cactus and Chainsaw Charlie did where they put the Ass Boys in a dumpster and then they dumped the dumpster off the stage. And the dumpster went like over top, it flipped. And if you're a person in there, even if there's padding, it's got to be rough. Was there a trap door in the dumpster? Did they escape? Did they take that fall in the dumpster? What happened in the dumpster, John? Because it looked rough.
Well, it looked scary because it looked like the dumpster opened up when it tipped over.
Yeah.
And to me, it looked like maybe a leg or an elbow came out, and it looked like that came very close to amputation right there. Like, that was kind of scary. So I'm glad nobody got hurt, but apparently they were both in there for that. I mean, you got to look back on it too. That Raw fall, that what happened with Cactus and Terry Funk.
Yeah.
That was a much farther fall. Like that looked like that could be really seriously bad. This wasn't
I thought they died.
Fall.
Still, I thought
Cactus
and Terry Funk died because they sold it like they had died, right? And it was like one of the first times.
Was crying.
It was one of the first. Yeah, Stephanie was crying. It was one of the first times where they did something like that, and it was like, oh, what's happened here? It felt real because they were just entering that reality
the show.
Era. Yeah, that's it. And that had never really happened before. So they sold it very well. But this was like, okay, they zip tied the thing shut. They toss it off the thing, the stage. It lands, and then it flipped over, and the lid came up. And I was like, well, I don't care how much padding there is, or even if the fall isn't that big, like you're doing the flip, you're in the dumpster. That's dangerous. That's really dangerous. And you could tell the dumpster was a real dumpster, was heavy. They had trouble pushing it off the stage. Like, that lands on you in a bad way. You're paralyzed. Who knows? That was crazy. To me, that was the craziest thing I saw on all of Dynamite because
Yeah.
real danger. You thought
Like,
that
to me,
too,
the
right? Like,
dumpster
what the
match-
fuck?
Oh yeah. To me, the dumpster match, that was the highlight of Dynamite this week.
Yeah.
And Castro had a good rap too as well, mentioning Vince. So that
Yeah.
got a great reaction. And the match was good too. I mean, that's a match that's really going to help the Acclaim because that's their first big match as faces now, right? So that's going to help them a lot going forward. And even for Billy's Sons, like that's their biggest match to date without question.
Yeah.
But thank
Long
goodness
build.
they're okay because that was scary. That's a close call, and you don't want to risk fate again like that. Like maybe if you do a dumpster match, like give it some time and a bit safer next time because you don't need people potentially losing limbs for this.
But it's good. Like, you see what AEW can do when they have a long story with many different steps, and then you build to this one big match. They can do it. It's just so many of their TV stories are like 2 or 3 week builds, and it's like, I don't really care about this. But the whole time when Bowens was injured, the Ass Boys were with them. They were a team. Scissor me, daddy ass became a catchphrase. Like, that was a thing for a while. So when they broke up, it was like, oh, here's a thing, and now here's the match, a dumpster match. It's like several months of build, and then it built to this, and that was the only match on the card that felt like a big deal. It's like, oh, this is a big match. The Acclaimed have arrived. They're a great tag team. They're future AEW tag team champions. No doubt. Within the next year or so, I think they should do it. They're right there. They're super over. And Max Caster delivers every time with those rap promos, which is not easy.
You were a little distracted, so you kind of missed the tag team title match. I think it was for the titles tonight on Rampage.
Yeah.
You should probably go back and watch that because that was crazy, that match. What happened tonight with Strickland, Lee against Nice and Woods.
What happened?
That match was nuts. Well, it was a brawl pretty much.
Who's
And
Woods?
there was a lot of
Xavier Woods?
I think it's Josh Woods, if I'm not mistaken. He was in ROH before. Anyways, I go back and watch that match. Because that was something.
Why? Was it better than Brett and Austin at WrestleMania 13?
In terms of like chaos kind of match, there's weapons, there's a lot of violence going on.
Yeah.
It's not a, technical masterpiece, but if you like violence, it definitely delivered. Like it's weird. You saw the Moxley Warner match, and then you got this. Like there was a lot of hardcore tonight.
AEW likes it.
All playing up to the fan base. That's what the fan base wants too, right? A lot of people love the old ECW and paying homage to that, and matches like that kind of did it.
Our buddy Green Phantom's got a big hardcore match against Crazy Manny tomorrow. Manny's retirement match. Should be crazy.
Good luck, Phantom.
Yeah, a lot of weapons and stuff. I hope he's. I hope everybody's all right. That's should be a great show. Christian beat Matt Hardy. I like this. This was something I was tuning in for. I'm an old guy. I like Christian and Matt Hardy. Who doesn't? I like seeing them wrestle in 2022. I thought the match was good. I liked it.
I thought the match was fine. It's just I thought Matt, I don't know what's happened the last couple of months, but it looks like his shape's gone to crap. I don't know if it was just what he was wearing, but
I think it was the shirt.
It was rough.
I think it was the
shirt. I
shirt.
guess it was. It was a bad shirt, but it looked like he was walking around awkwardly, or he was having trouble walking. He just looked like he was in rough shape. I don't know. Maybe just those matches. I think have finally caught up to him. All those crazy matches that he did, and his body is it's not the same now. It's hard for him. It looks like he can still do it, but it looks like he's in pain constantly, like his brother.
Yeah. Hope his brother's all right. Hope Matt's all right. But I like the match. I like seeing Christian and Matt Hardy. I like the women's tag match too. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker over Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. Toni accidentally ran her butt into Thunder. got distracted, got hit with Hater's finish for the 1-2-3. I like that match. I thought it was pretty good.
Like they did some good spots, but it just felt like it was really disorganized. It was all over the place. They had a weird sort of distract the ref thing, which wasn't working. I think the ref saw everything, but I feel like they do that almost every match where they screw up the ref distraction thing. And it just felt like, it's supposed to be a tag. It's just absolute chaos. They're just hitting stuff, and it's just for whatever. But I mean, it got a great reaction, so I mean, I guess it works.
It was a lot of chaos. Even the people involved didn't know who was legal. Did you notice Tony Storm got tagged in?
Oh yeah,
at that one point.
That happened too.
And then she.
I'm just saying, like
she went back in the corner, and Thunder went back in a corner, and Thunder's like, "No, you're legal," and she's like, "Oh, me?" And then she went back in. I was like, "What happened?" A lot of confusion.
Because it was that kind of style where it's just like they're going all over the place. No one knows what's really going on. It was just craziness, and like it still works. It's exciting to watch, but I can't say it was great because it looked like it was just kind of sloppy at times.
I liked it. I tell you what I didn't like. Ric Flair's last match. It was not very good. I didn't watch anything of the card. I watched that match because I was curious. And Flair apparently went into the match hurt, which couldn't have helped, but he really didn't do much at all. He kind of stood there and punched and chopped and kind of hobbled around a bit. Looked like he could barely walk. He took one suplex bump, and then he kind of, bled.
A lot of blood.
A lot of blood, but not much in the way of wrestling. They did what they could. Flair's 73, but it just, it was kind of sad. It was like, what's the point of this? Does Flair need the money this badly? Does he need to wrestle this badly? Why is this happening? That was my only thought watching this. Why? Why is he doing this? It was really unnecessary. Cash grab.
Wow.
Felt like a cash grab to me. And watching it, I thought, ugh, I hope Flair doesn't die.
Well, thankfully that didn't happen. And
yeah,
to me, like, I feel like it was just worth it just to see that picture of you see him hugging Brett, Taker, and Mick Foley at ringside right in the front row.
Yeah.
Like, that's an amazing moment right there. Like, I feel like it's worth it just for that moment.
Yeah, that was the best part.
I bet.
The best part was seeing Flair go over emotional, celebrating afterwards, and seeing Brad and Foley and Taker sitting there ringside. It was like, oh, that's cool. Rest of it was like, yeah, all right.
Well, you shouldn't have high expectations for someone who, 73 and like hasn't wrestled in how many years too as well. Like, I wouldn't expect the greatest things in the world. But, again, kudos for doing that, because that's crazy to do that. The fact that he was able to do it and, he's still walking today.
Yeah, sure. It's just, he's had so many health problems, it seems dangerous and unnecessary. But he's the Nature Boy. He'll never quit. Well, I think he has quit now after that match.
I think that was his last match. I think that's
so.
it.
My God. Yeah, it was just, sad to see, because I remember when he, could run. I remember when the man had the ability to run, and that did not seem to be something that he had in his toolbox. So that was a little disappointing.
I saw something, though.
Yeah.
With Jeff Jarrett, did he like cause a riot or something? Because I saw he like threw like some beer at some fan or something.
I didn't notice. I don't know.
Oh, you didn't catch that?
I didn't see any of that.
Well, Jeff was trying to be the old school heel, but I don't know if that may have went too far or something. And it looked like Karen got in a fight with Flair's
Rick's daughter. Yeah.
Megan. Not Charlotte.
No, Megan, the one that's married to Conrad Thompson. who was also there ringside, and they were getting yelled at. Conrad. Yeah. What happened to Dan Lambert? Stokely Hathaway seems to be Ethan Page's new manager in AEW. I guess AEW has done away with Dan Lambert. No more Dan Lambert.
Well, I think he served his purpose, like they got what they needed out of him kind of thing, He had a good run.
Yeah.
But I think we can move on from him now, no? Like,
I'm
what
fine
else
with it. They got Stokely Hathaway.
No.
I think he'll do a good job. They don't need Dan Lambert right now. I think it was what it was. But I guess Paige Van Zant, I thought she signed to an AEW contract. No?
Right. Well, she signed an AEW contract. Doesn't
For
mean
one
she has to
match.
wrestle all the time. Right? And, we'll look at Logan Paul. He showed up for SummerSlam. Now he's gone, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what these contracts really mean. They say, oh, we've signed him to a contract. Well, okay. For how many matches exactly? Apparently Logan Paul is for more than one match, but how many? How many appearances?
They're saying maybe in December. To me, that sounds like he's coming back at the Rumble.
December? Ooh. So they don't really have him that much. This is not like a Ronda Rousey deal.
That could also mean possibly Saudi Arabia as well.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how that deal works now without Vince. I wonder. Chris Jericho, he beat Wheeler Yuta with the Lion Tamer. Moxley wants the Lionheart Chris Jericho. Is Jericho going to come out as the Lionheart with, old gear, you think? I think he will.
Old music, I hope, too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like Lionheart Jericho style when he wrestles Moxley. I'd love to see Jericho win the belt and have it be Jericho versus Punk at All Out, but I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, when I think about who could beat Moxley, yeah, Jericho could be a guy to do it. It's just sadly I don't think it's going to be him because Moxley's had, 2 defenses now? Tonight wasn't really a defense, so really only one. I don't see him losing, unless it's Punk. I don't see anyone else taking it from him.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And finally, give me some predictions. I'm going to give Doug some UFC predictions. And I want to hear your predictions. Ciampa versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title on Raw. Who wins? Does Johnny Gargano come back, being it's in Cleveland on Monday night?
Oh, I could see that happen. Yeah, sure, Gargano coming back, but I think Bobby will still be champion, though.
Okay. And who's your pick to win the women's tag team belts?
Wow, can I get some teams first? But
no.
I would actually go with Bayley's team, whatever it's going to be. That trio, whatever. 2 of those.
Makes sense. Also makes sense if Sasha's going to come and try to take it back.
Exactly.
I'd like to see if Bayley's team does win, I'd like to see them all be champions. The Freebirds rule, New Day rule. 2 belts, 3 people champion.
Sure. Hopefully they do it where Bayley's more the single star, but whatever. It works either way.
All right, I'm going to give Doug a couple UFC picks. I'm not seeing anything too crazy. I do like Brian Battle over Takashi Sato. I think that's a pretty good pick right there. Maybe I can give you a parlay. Give you a Team Dave parlay as we wind the show down here. A little MMA betting for you on a Saturday night for the UFC. The UFC is in Vegas. They're back at the Apex. They're in San Diego next week. They got Dominic Cruz fighting in the main event there in Cruz's hometown. Tomorrow night, they're in Vegas. It is Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill. I like Jamal Hill in a major way in the main event. Ooh, let's see here. Jamal Hill. Brogan Walker, maybe. Which one is Brogan Walker? Oh, no, I don't know about her. Who's the other one? Who's she fighting? Juliana Miller. Oh, yeah, Juliana Miller is a gamer. Oh, yeah. I'm going for Juliana Miller big time. I like that. Juliana Miller is tough. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu as well. Got to go with Juliana Miller. Got to go with Brian Battle. That's going to be my 3-5 parlay I'm going to give you. Doug, my man, there is the 3-5 parlay that I'm giving you. Let me see if I can give it to you here. Boom, boom. Take that to the bank, hopefully. Jamal Hill. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Jamal Hill, minus. Where is it? Oh, it's not showing up.
Gotta get the lady in there.
Oh, I'm trying to get her out of there. Get out of there, lady! I'm not seeing the... my freaking screen is like all messed up. I can't get the...
It was there for a second.
Super chat.
What? No, I can't get the odds on this. It's not showing up. Whatever. Jamal Hill, minus 334. Juliana Miller, minus 125. Brian Battle, minus 300. That's a 3-fight parlay, $20. We'll get you $62.40 at bet99.com. Hold on, our production team is fixing it, I think. No, forget it. $20 gets you $62.40 at bet99.com. So that's the Team Dave parlay. Hill, Miller, Battle. That's for you, Doug. That is just for Doug. 3-fight parlay. Hill, Miller, Battle. Team Dave. Watch that one come through. Keep giving bad bets over the past couple of weeks. Now this one's going to come through, and I won't bet it. And I'll be watching the fights, be like, God damn it, if I would have bet this parlay, I would have made $62. Why didn't I bet on this parlay? Nobody's going to be happy with me. Everybody's going to be mad at me because I'll be all sour and I didn't bet the parlay. So now I will bet the parlay, and it'll lose, and then I'll be sour anyways. Either way, I'm sour. If I bet, I'll lose, and I'll be sour. If I don't bet, I'll win, and I'll be sour. Either way, I'm sour these days. Getting too sour with these goddamn bets. Pissing me off.
Well,
Shaking
I
the
think we
very
should
foundation of my belief system, you know? I believe that I know a lot about mixed martial arts and betting. And I have won a bunch of money for myself and other people. But over the past few weeks, it's like, what the hell? Over the past 2 weeks, really. But especially with that Pena fight, I was like, I think Pena's got it. And then all of a sudden, UFC 278 is a watch-along we're doing August 20th at 10 p.m. Give me an easy main event for that. What's the main event for that? Oh, Kamaru Usman is in the main event of that. I mean, yeah. He's fighting Leon Edwards. Actually doesn't really matter who he's fighting because he's going to win because he's Kamaru Usman. Usman minus 340? That's it? Jeez, there's tons of value there. What the hell? Kamaru Usman should be minus 500. At least. Kamaru Usman is a goddamn lock. Anybody out there think Leon Edwards really has a chance? What? What? Let me see Bet99. Usman minus 367. Edwards plus 275. Throw it down on Usman right now. I mean, yeah, he's a huge favorite, but like, so? He's going to win. That's what I said about Juliana. Although she was a huge underdog, so I don't know. But I think Usman wins for sure. $20 gets you $25, so it's not really great, but, you know, bet more than 20 and then your return will be bigger, so that's how gambling works, John. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Roy for calling in. Great talking to Roy. Doug says it's just a bad break. It happens. I know, but it was a really bad break. You know, I got Juliana Pena winning the first time. I had that. She beat Amanda, so I was like, oh, yeah, she'll win again. Wrong. And if they fight again, I'd pick Amanda. I've learned my lesson. I don't think they'll fight again. I don't think there's any reason because it was like, you know, one-sided. And if you look at, you know, their history, it's like, well, Amanda's won 6 out of the 7 rounds that they fought. That one round was really Juliana's, and she finished Amanda, but Amanda won 6 out of the 7 rounds that they've had together. And that last fight was just a clean sweep. Very convincing. Thank you to Harold Schneider. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thanks to Doug Hepburn dropping the Super Chats tonight and joining us. Always great seeing Doug live in the chat. Shout out to Doug and Nick in Kingston. Shout out to Antoinette and Roy in Toronto. Shout out to Harold in Montreal. All over Ontario and Quebec tonight. Shout out to everybody watching us live. And everybody watching us not live, after the show. And before we go, a big congratulations to Wally and Amy, our good friends who got married. I think today. I think it was today. So congratulations to Wally and Amy out in Ireland, our good friends. Great.
Our time, technically yesterday now.
Yeah, technically yesterday, their time, or our time. But congratulations to Wally and Amy. I would have loved to have been there in Ireland, but the thought of traveling with a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old was just impossible. You know, with pandemics and 2 children, it just didn't work out. But I will visit Wally and Amy one day in Ireland. I will go and visit them. They visited us so many times here in Canada. It would be great to see Wally and Amy. And I congratulate them, both of them, great people, 2 of the best people that I've met over the course of doing this show. I love Wally. I love Amy. I think they're great. And very happy for them getting married. Big congratulations to our boy, Wally Byrne. Check out his podcast, Money to Burn. Money, the number 2, Burn, spelled Byrne. Money to Burn. It's the number 1 business podcast in Ireland. Wally is the number 1 man in Ireland. Amy is the number 1 lady in Ireland, and they are tremendous. Tremendous people. And, yeah, congratulations to them. Very happy for them. Hopefully Wally hears this. And, yeah, we love you, Wally and Amy, and the whole country of Ireland, really. Just a great place. So we'll go one day. See the stuff they have there. Conor McGregor and other things, I assume. I don't know. The Bows soccer team, right? Got to see the Bows.
I think the main thing is that Wally and Amy are there, and it's just great to see them.
Yeah.
So that'd be the highlight. To go to Ireland, really.
All right, John. I mean, yeah, obviously that'd be the main reason. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And I'll see you again on Thursday night, 8 p.m. for Ringside Report MMA, right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.